Warning! The following gameplay video was created by a scrub. If scrub gameplay disturbs you, stop the video now. Okay, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello! I would like to apologize in advance. Unfortunately, due to a mishap, this video is without sound. Well, there's not much to listen to around here, so I'm going to excuse my mistake because that's exactly how this works. And I am going to explore further, even though the game told me that I should probably go back and find out what happened with that gate that just opened. And, I mean, this place is called the Demon Ruins, but that's probably just a signpost someone put up to scare away the tourists. We can just go in and not be afraid of anything. Also, I actually think this is the first place in the game that we've encountered lava. The game has trained me to the point where I'm not even gonna bother trying to step on it like I might in other games. And I've been thinking about why, even though death is technically so cheap in this game, it doesn't feel that way. Oh, my. I don't think I've seen one of those before. Well, hello, sir or madam, or what? I don't actually know whether this has a gender. How are you doing? You haven't tried to kill me, and I'm just gonna turn around and walk away. Because, well, there's a few reasons. If nothing else, I think it might be a good idea to get flash sweat first, before I poke that thing. And how do I know that this is a boss fight, as opposed to something I talked to? Well, I didn't at the time, I was just scared silly. But yeah, running into this fog gate kinda seals it, doesn't it? I didn't intend to say it that way. Also, what is it about this place that still gives me frame rate problems if Blighttown doesn't do it? I do not understand. Well, okay, there were a couple of places in Blightstone that still slowed things down. I probably didn't pronounce any of that right. Who cares? Time to, well, I'm not going to call this particular bonfire home. Time to go back to less unsafety. So, what do we do from here? Well, I guess there's not much left to do except try that, excuse me, that bit of Blighttown that I have not explored yet. I also thought that stepping on that thing would cause an elevator, but no. It looks similar, but it doesn't work that way. So, I got some walking to do. And some slogging and swamp muck treading. Well, you play those games where poison immunity is basically trivial to get because you're worried about other things that actually have some effect on your gameplay? Well, it feels redundant to say this because it applies in so many ways, but Dark Souls ain't like that. So, I don't even know where to go from here commentary-wise. Although, well, for one thing, I thought for sure that being the boss would lead to a shortcut back up towards the places I was supposed to go. But no, Nope. The game is like, oh, you want more than one really important goal from beating that boss. Well, too bad. Too bad. It's okay, though. I'd also decided that to deal with that room full of toxic blow dart things, I will probably just have to get toxicked. Especially if I'm in a situation that I'm really afraid of, which is one of them shoots at me while I try to hack at another. I would really prefer not to have to deal with that, but, well, there are a lot of things that I prefer not to deal with in this game. Also, where am I running to exactly? Oh, yes, I remember what happened. I remember exactly what happened. I lost track of where the bonfire was. Look, don't... You swamps all look the same to me. Look, no, don't look at me like that. I'm not geographyist. It's just I can't tell by looking at it which area of swamp is which. I'm sorry. I thought that the bonfire was between this and the boss area. Not sure why I thought that. It's probably because I have a really bad sense of direction and easily get lost. Which makes driving to new places lots of fun, let me tell you. Hoo-hoo. I've had some fun times because of that. Also, I'm not sure why I bothered to stop and hit those things. But hey, here we go. Now at least I know where the wooden elevator is in relation to where I am. Oh, that's why. I wanted to make sure that I had the souls to repair my stuff. Although, there really wasn't that much to do. Alright. Just in case I do have an opportunity to block a little bit before I reach the guys, the spider shield might help. It's not a problem before that, but I mean, it wasn't a problem before when I was facing one at a time, but it's highly likely that I'll have to block quite a few more darts than I did before. Well, let's see if this works. Not at that range, apparently. Still, I appreciate the idea of just shooting down the flying things. Also, this is the part of the game that reminds me that the crosshair provided is not the best. It works at this range, but not when they get further away. I wonder if it goes that way because the camera is kind of over the character's right shoulder. I also wonder if this was tested, found to be off and to the right when at longer distances, and the dev said, yeah, that's fine. Go with that. Long range shooting isn't supposed to be easy. It's okay if the game heads-up display lies to you. Also, note to self. I've upgraded pretty much everything except my bow, and I'm using really cheap, flimsy arrows. I should probably fix that at some point. However, some point cannot be right now, I'm sad to say. Also note to self, stop being greedy. I could probably just keep walking and not have to deal with this sort of thing. In fact, I wonder if a theme of this game could be just keep on walking and hope it doesn't follow you too far. Whew. I get nervous even looking at this elevator. I wonder if that fall was intentional, like they knew how to make it easier to step off, but they just didn't want to. Actually, I'm quite certain they just didn't want to. If they wanted to make it easier, they could have just made the elevator a little bit taller so it started threatening to push you off later on. Give you a little more of a timing window to deal with it. Also, I'm assuming those mosquito things have basically zero defense, which means that my weapons interact with it in a rather interesting way, which is my fully unupgraded bow deals about half as much damage as my scimitar. However, when enemies have some amount of armor, the difference is a fair bit more pronounced. Which kind of makes how attacks and defense work a little bit more clear. Which is, once your attack starts to exceed their defense... Why am I walking across here again? I've already gotten what's important. And the game punishes me appropriately. On the other hand... Oh. Until looking at it right there, I didn't fully realize how that worked, or... Hey, why doesn't the elevator have platforms anymore? Nope, completely different wheel there. Also, what's turning all that stuff? I haven't heard or seen any waterfalls around here. The topography doesn't seem to be nearly that nice. Also, that would give the game something approaching beautiful scenery around here, which they seem to be fighting very, very hard to avoid. This also brings to mind more questions about who designed this place and how. Because this kind of mechanism seems fairly well in advance of the other things that I've seen around here. Although, in fairness, building something that has not fallen apart for this long with such shoddy materials in such well, finding a good foundation doesn't seem like an easy thing around here. So I will give that credit where it is due. Someone at least knew what they were doing, although it wasn't the person who decided to build a town here in the first place. Ahem. Man, I still haven't gotten over those allergies. Also, I think it's about time I gave up on those souls. It wasn't even that many. But I'm trying to imagine what it looks like going through this after you've played it through the game once or twice and know how things work. You can probably get through very significant parts without dying, and thus retain a lot of stored up humanity for... Oh, there it is. I knew it was going to happen. That's okay. You can't retoxic me. Haha, I foiled your evil plan. Kind of. The problem is, if I try to jump across, he'll probably just shoot me and make me fall down. So we need we need another plan. Also, I was rather shocked when I found out that there were 3 of them in close proximity. Like, that is very, very different from previous parts of the game. Also, I'm amazed I made that jump looking back on it. That definitely looked like the sort of thing that should not work. Oh, I swung the wrong way, that's for sure. And I didn't notice until now those hellhounds. And why does that guy seem to know exactly how to run? Well, of course, the devs saw this coming. They knew, either through play testing or simple design knowledge, that the guy would probably end up down there. Those guys are probably kind of programmed to back off like that regardless of the situation. It's just that their placement before didn't allow them to do it very much. So it just looked like that one was particularly clever, hiding behind those other monsters while it did its thing. Ooh, yeah. Sure made me look like an idiot. Not that it's difficult. Ahem. There we go, now I've learned my lesson. It's not like that thing is going to climb up the ladders or the elevator. You see, they made the first part easy. Just to make sure that if you do fall, it's at a place where you can't possibly survive. Like that. At one point I stumbled across a chart which showed the cause of death in Dark Souls to be falling much more often than anything else in the game. Gravity is the true final boss. And it is undefeated. No, don't turn around. It's just trying to get your attention. Leave it alone and it'll go at... Okay, fine. Well, I guess more credit where it's due. You at least don't have to walk very far to reach this elevator. And I've also started thinking about challenge and the perception of such, and how it affects the community. I mean, of course, this game, well, the marketing says prepare to die, and I'm not entirely sure that the devs were responsible for that. I mean, I don't think that was the case in Demon Souls or the first edition of Dark Souls. Seems more like a marketing team sort of thing. Oh, careful where you're walking there past me. And of course I've tried to limit my interaction with the community of Dark Souls for many reasons. One is spoilers, of course, and the other is, well, I'll put it this way. I want to be the guy indisputably a difficult game in its own right. Almost certainly much more so than Dark Souls. But there isn't nearly this kind of machismo, this contempt towards the players who are not good at it that you get with Dark Souls. And I'm kind of at a loss to figure out why. Well, I guess part of it is that it didn't have quite the popularity that Dark Souls did. But I don't think that's the only reason. Well, I could probably find a forum post somewhere saying that I want to be the guy is easy even at the hardest difficulty, and gamers these days are so much worse than they used to be. But I don't think I'm going to find too many of those. Why can't I just step on this? I probably don't have to kill it. Oh well. So I believe I'm going further up here than I did last time. Oh yeah, definitely so. Because my previous time I didn't get a view of that, whatever that was. And I hadn't opened this before either. Oh. The boss didn't drop a key, but there's one right there. Oh, so I know where the New Londo ruins are. So that's a pretty strong indication that this leads to there, which makes it a good thing I didn't decide to go and follow this the whole way first. That could have been troublesome. Also, I was extremely perplexed at my difficulty fighting this thing. Although, well, part of it is that I guess my parry timing was off from not fighting them for so long. But that wasn't the whole story. At any rate, that's not the direction that I wanted to go just yet, because I wanted to kind of resolve the whole toxic dart thing to see if there was anything else around there. And don't worry, the sound will be back in the next video, I promise. Although, maybe it's just me, but I don't think that outside of boss fights, Dark Souls loses a huge amount by being soundless. I mean, there are some annoying repeating sounds in this game. Alright, step off at the right time. Step off at the right time. That wasn't it. That was not it. It was at this point that I decided that maybe staying further to the right would be a good idea, because that lifts me up sooner and might give me a better chance to successfully get the dismount. Also, okay, a little bit about the editing about this, since the style is a little bit different from the previous couple of videos. So this session was at a rather awkward pace. If I did some editing and showed the whole thing, the video would be too long. So I had to split it up. But if I do that and then shorten the repetitive parts, both of the videos would be too short. So this is what we got. That was way too early. What am I doing? This isn't bad repetitive editing, it's just showing people the tedium of some Dark Souls pitfalls. Yeah. Maybe I could have used a better word for that, but I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. Because Dark Souls has none, and neither does a YouTube audience. Actually, that's being unfair. That only happens if you have a large audience, which I definitely don't. But don't worry, I don't get stuck here for the rest of the video, I promise. Also, the reason that death feels less forgiving in this game. The main thing is that because it autosaves, I've already mentioned how it prevents you from being able to try using rare items at particular points of the game when you're not absolutely 100% certain that you can do so without getting killed and wasting them. There's also, of course, the famous leaving your souls behind mechanic, and a lot of things have been said about that, I think. I haven't read too many reviews because spoilers, but the ability to just take souls with you as much as you want would definitely change the flow of the game. Well, that plus the autosave, of course. It would leave you, I think, a lot more free to experiment with different builds or upgrades. Like, I can try this out, and if it doesn't work, I'll just reload the game. And also, of course, being able to accumulate a lot of souls to, I don't know, buy something that would normally be too expensive, or... Actually, I haven't even thought about what I would do with souls if I could collect a whole bunch of them without risk. Once again, I definitely shouldn't have made that jump. Much better. What? There's another one? That was a big surprise. Especially since that one hadn't even bothered me before. Well, maybe it did shoot at me last time I was up there and I just didn't notice because I was already toxic and I was chasing that other one. Ooh, I fall down, go boom. And now I gotta be careful to stay out of the line of sight of that other guy. Fortunately, that's not too hard because I have a decent idea of where it is. Go away, purple moss clump. No one likes your style. Whew. Of course, blocking fire with a shield, especially this shield, is not ideal. Well, I guess it could be worse. It could be a wooden shield or something, but still, I almost certainly would have killed without blocking that stuff. Wow, I actually was not expecting that one, but hey, a cautious approach helps sometimes, I suppose. It occurred to me that I hadn't even tried using combustion or fire bombs on those things. Probably for the best. And that's that. So, it seems that I just got the big treasure of this place, which I don't really know if I can express how valuable it seemed at the time I picked it up. Because, oh wow, that was not a smart bit of walking on my part. And it feels weird because, have you ever tried to step off a ledge? Bet you can't do it. Your personal balance and just the way you walk will work against that sort of thing. Anyway, there you are. Now, I didn't plan to miss that first attack, but it actually worked out in my favor because that means that the first attack that landed had no chance of pushing it off the edge and causing more trouble. And with that, I believe I fully explored this place. I mean, I might have left something behind, but I doubt it would be anything as valuable as the Firekeeper's soul, so I can't wait to cash that in. And now it is time to move on. So, going back to that, I just call them ogres, even though that's probably not what they are. The real problem, which I had not realized at the time of the recording, was that I was used to fighting them with a bit more room to move around. And that was not the case where I was standing. But it would have been the case if I had been brave enough to move forward a bit into that cave. It's a strange occurrence where the game punishes you kinda moving slowly and cautiously. Although my understanding was that at least a select one or two of the devs disliked that in general, just because, I don't know, it made the game look boring. Also, it looks like that catalyst has some lore. I didn't even read it very closely at the time. I probably should have. Now, considering that when fighting those things I like backstabs and parries, and also they take a lot of damage from bleed, Bandit Knife seems pretty okay. Man, you miss one parry and then everything goes wrong. I believe I tried to roll there, but once again pressed it too late. Also, those things... Another thing I forgot about them is how ridiculous their attack range is. Especially in a linear sort of way. Which is another reason why being able to move around it easily is... well, it's pretty nice. And we'll see how I deal with that next time. Later.